And for more on the Paris attacks, we're joined by, actually, before we do that, let's go to Mark Kagan. He is a former U.S. intelligence analyst. So we want to get inside the heads of the people there on the ground because you've been there. Clearly, the French president meeting with his cabinet, intelligence people right now probably scouring every bit of information they can. Tell us what's going on the ground at this stage.
They're calling in all their informants. They're going back over things that they've been looking over for maybe since the Charlie Hebdo attack to see what they might have missed. They are also scouring the social media to see what's going on in the Islamist websites because that seems to be the most likely origin of these attacks. Note also that it's coming right after the attack on in Beirut, and there was an attack also in Iraq. And this is shall we say, typical of ISIS, and it's also a way of putting their stamp on things and saying, we're here and we aren't going away. But at the moment, no one's going to be getting any sleep in both the intelligence and the military and the police services, and they're just going to be putting their ears to the ground, asking anyone they can find who might have some knowledge of this, and they're also going to be asking, how did we miss this? And
how did they?
Well, coming from that background, I hate to say it because you can catch 99,999, but that one out of 10,000 that you miss, that's an intelligence failure. You catch all the others, which is not really fair to the people who are doing this and also to everything involved.
I totally agree with you. It's not fair. But when you look at what happened in Beirut and what happened in Paris, clearly, we go back to 2014, the President of the United States saying ISIS is a JV team. They're clearly not like bin Laden or 9/11, but these are coordinated attacks. Right. You're looking at possibly 4 attacks, 2 that didn't work out in Beirut. This could be 4, we're hearing now 5. That takes planning, that takes expertise, doesn't it? And it's not something you do, it's not you flip on the light switch and let's just do it. This takes a lot of planning, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. And I wish President Obama hadn't said that because it called to mind certain things that were said during the Bush administration by President Bush and by Donald Rumsfeld about that they were on the run in Iraq, and they obviously weren't. And that's the same thing with ISIS and Al-Qaeda. They are not on the run. They, like a hydra, they keep popping up in other places no matter how many heads you cut off. Yeah, you can follow things on social media and on the internet, but technology is a big enabler for modern day terrorism because there are so many avenues and so many channels that you can use, and you don't actually have to be in touch with people and even know who you're talking with if you have that network. So yes, they can do this. They have the abilities, they have the capabilities, and they have some very smart people. They have some very psychopathic people, but that just being a psychopath doesn't mean that you aren't smart and capable and have knowledge of how to do these things.
Let me ask you about this hostage situation, because it brings to mind Beslan, where all of those students were trapped. It brings to mind the Opera House in Moscow, people trapped inside. This is another tough one. How do you approach this from the outside to get the people out safely?
Well, I don't think it's going to end the same way it did in Beslan and in Moscow, which I think were really botched by the Russian security forces for a variety of reasons. The French have a different way of handling things, and I also think that they are better equipped and prepared and trained for this, which doesn't mean that it isn't going to end badly. It's just not necessarily going to end badly with French security forces attacking to free the hostages and in the end killing the hostages themselves. I think if it ends that way, and I hope to God it doesn't, that it's because the hostage takers executed them. And
so it could be protracted.
It could be protracted. I heard something just before I came on here that they were executing them one by one, and my first thought was, 1, well, this is new, and 2, it doesn't make any sense in something that doesn't make sense on certain levels, because you don't give up your cards if you want to get something out of it. And even if they're trying to make a statement and trying to make an impression and trying to, we're attacking you if you attack us, you still don't give up those cards.